It's time to duel.
Hello everyone and welcome to Axel Blaze Productions. This is going to be the first podcast on this new podcasting channel. Although on the YouTube channel it's still YouTube and just the first podcast I have done in a very long time, let alone content in a very long time, and I apologize for that. But for those of you that are coming from Nerds Rant Live, hello, thank you for stopping by for this video on a Super Sentai and Kamen Rider podcast. If you did not watch the first part, the Power Rangers one, it is on the Nerds Rant Live podcast, wherever podcasts are found. I like Spotify, but whatever your platform of choice is, feel free to check it out. I'm on that podcast, as well as my two guests, one of which is the host of Nerds Rant Live. But like I said, this is Axel Blaze Productions. My name is Jordan, a.k.a. Axel Blaze, and in this house, we stand Daigoyo, the Lantern Zord, who should have had a better representation in Power Rangers Samurai, but he didn't. But that's me. I'd like to introduce my guests. The first of which, Darian, the Every Nerd.
I'm back on Axel Blaze Productions.
Yup, it's been lots of years. For those of you that have actually been with the channel since it started, Darian was my co-host for our podcast that we had, why am I blanking on the name?
Dark List.
The Dark List. Oh my God! Thank you.
Yeah,
See, right. I'm mildly proud of that podcast. He's kind of ashamed of it.
Oh, I'm not ashamed of it in any capacity. I enjoyed our podcast.
I'm messing with him.
Everyone starts somewhere. Am I right?
Yeah.
Who's the guy talking though?
Well, it's me currently, but I mean,
who's the other guy?
That's you, Dan.
Me?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
one over here?
I'm going to introduce him in a moment, but you had to go on this tangent with the Dork List and whatnot, and like trying to throw shade. But yeah, the other person here
shade at myself,
who is not throwing shade, and I am very appreciative of that, is my other friend Garrett.
I am Garrett. I go by terraxgt on all platforms. I'm very happy that you're having me here today.
Thank you. Yes,
because I forgot. Because it's not my platform. I'm on JackArcher02 on Instagram and on Twitter, even though I never use my Twitter.
Yeah, relatable.
I've actually started to learn how to use it.
Somebody knows how to use Twitter in this room?
I started to use it
I know how to use Twitter, too.
on my 10-year anniversary of actually having the app and being signed up. That's how long it takes.
It's relatable.
No wonder you look the youngest out of all four of us.
I tried getting back on Twitter when I restarted last year during summer, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. The other problem is, like, I had Axel Blaze by itself under a different, like, Twitter when I first started, and I created a second one, and it is what it is. But I digress.
I'm proud of you, Garrett, for having and owning a Twitter that you know how to use.
Again, I know how to use it, I just don't.
I've only been active on it quite recently, but that's just because I've had nothing else to do in quarantine.
It's always nice looking over at Twitter out of like all the social media platforms. What do you even do there?
You create hashtags and hope that you're trending.
Usually I just scream into the void. That works well.
That too.
Scream into the void.
It's literally
scream into the void.
It's literally those two things. You scream
that's
into the void, or you just try to hashtag your way into trending.
Because all I put on Facebook is just cat pictures.
It is true.
Gotta be
That's
consistent.
true.
Gotta be
That's true.
consistent.
But we're getting very off topic here. So
Entertain them to keep them here.
indeed. So, like I said at the beginning here, this is part 2 of a 2-part podcast. The first of which is a podcast on Nerds Rant Live, which I will have links in the description on the YouTube channel, and I will put it in the description once it goes live on the podcasting platforms. But in our first podcast, we talked about Power Rangers, the impact it had on us, our general thoughts on the series as a whole, and the ups and downs, and all around.
We went everywhere.
We were everywhere, and we went on several tangents, and we will inevitably go on several tangents here as well. But the subject of part 2 here, like I said in the beginning, is talking about Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. Because when you talk about Power Rangers, you also need to talk about where it came from. And that origin is Super Sentai, which came from Japan. Although, in Japan, Kamen Rider happened first, for those that don't know. And with Kamen Rider, it was very popular. And then they were like, but what if there was 5? And what if they were a rainbow? Insert Eric Andre meme here, because that is what happened, and that's how we got Super Sentai. And we will get to Kamen Rider later, but Super Sentai is definitely the part that at least the three of us, that was our jumping off point with Power Rangers.
And it's all Jordan's fault.
It is all my fault.
It really is.
So, in 2010, 2009 going into 2010, was when I discovered the weeb side of YouTube. And this is something that I discussed in another one of Darian's podcasts, where we were talking about Shonen Jump and the impact that had on us. 2009, 2010 was when I was in the drama club, and somebody had access to YouTube on their student login, which no one else had, but conveniently someone had it in drama club. And so when I wasn't doing anything, I would go on there and watch anime episodes of Naruto that were split up into 3 parts on YouTube.
And they were always mirrored.
Yes, and they were like in like 240p. You were lucky if they were like higher than that.
Well, the only high-res ones were like in little bitty screens with a picture on top of it.
Yes, the ones where they had to like really crop it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during that time where I rediscovered Power Rangers. But it wasn't Power Rangers as I knew it, because it was Super Sentai. 2010 was when I discovered Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, and I fell in love. Because the Power Rangers that I knew was darker and grittier than what we had in the States. And it had cool new themes, it had cool new protagonists that actually knew how to act. Not saying that, you know, certain Power Rangers actors couldn't act, because there are a lot of them that do. But if you listen to the first part Power Ranger podcast, you will know that there were several people, especially in like 2016 onwards, and even some a little bit before that, who really couldn't act.
And that could have been a part of writing.
It definitely was a part of writing.
Yeah.
But
It's not even that they can't act, I just feel like it's delivery.
True.
But yeah,
Very true.
Yeah.
In comparison, Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, it's because it's so ingrained in Japanese history in the last like 45 years. I think it's definitely seen as more of an honor kind of thing to be a part of that. Not to mention a lot of the people that are actors or actresses are part of like idol groups or actor groups or et cetera, et cetera. So they get around in the industry that way. But that's at least my jumping point. I'll let Garrett and Darian take it from here on how you got in, which is
go first,
random.
For Super Sentai, to be honest, I really wasn't much aware of it either until Jordan actually introduced it to me.
Me?
Yeah, acted like you weren't the one who got all of us into this.
I know.
It's a quote,
It's
Captain
me.
America. We're never going to hear the end of this.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
you won't.
But the way he introduced it to me was him saying, hey, you know, I just watched this really good one where they're samurais, but the next season coming up is going to be an anniversary, and it's going to have everyone all together, and that's what interested me into it. You were the one that introduced...
I don't know. I think I told you about Samurai.
You did.
And I know I told you about Gokaiger, but
Exactly.
like in between was Go Sager, which was the angel one. I don't know.
that's right.
I might have told you about that one. I don't know, but
I forgot that Ghost
but
Ranger
more-
existed until just this moment.
Well, in between
Yeah.
those two, but more in the time you were telling me about how it was the 35th anniversary.
yes.
And Gokaiger was coming up, and it was going to have like literally every single team in it. So that got me interested, and I watched it, and I fell in love with it because not just for the sake of seeing all the all the Power Rangers that I grew up with, seeing them again, but someone else is controlling their powers and stuff like that, but also being able to see all the cameos from all these actors that were these original characters in Super Sentai, and then kind of learning about them and how they actually impacted the show and why they're important in the show, in being in this show which was nice to see, and kind of opened the gate for me to actually want to dive more into the Super Sentai side of things than just regular old Power Rangers.
And Darian.
So there's a trend here where Jordan got Garrett into it. Garrett then, by proxy, told me about Gokaiger once it had started airing. And I remember just sitting there going, there's no way it can be as good as he's saying it. There's no way. And I literally
I
was sitting...
wasn't lying.
I watched the first episode and then went, fuck.
Yeah.
Damn, this is amazing.
You have
And-
pirates.
And Captain Marvelous is now my favorite Sentai character of all time.
Marvelous.
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 I still like Doc. Doc's one of my
Doc.
favorites. in this.
Even though he's my biggest pee off his pants.
Exactly.
Like,
Why does it look like I'm wiping off my pants when I transform?
when he's posing, he's
Why has
just,
no one told me this before?
you just started doing it. But no, like, it's my favorite. Gokaiger's probably my favorite still by far. But I've been on the train ever since, and I've gone back and watched a few of the older ones where there's murder
Yup.
and death, and it's just evil, and like I love I love all Super Sentai right now. Some I like more than others. Like, I found myself unable to watch the ones that have Power Rangers related seasons for the most part because just like I think I watched Time Ranger for like a little bit. If I had to pick one of them, and then it just made me sad. It just made me sad.
Yep.
Because it's a sad one.
Yep.
But moving forward.
Well, when you think about it, Time Force is another one that has a lot of sad elements to it too. So
Yeah.
for a one-to-one comparison,
It's like, why did I do this to myself?
So one of the things that we'll definitely be talking about, at least on the Super Sentai side of this podcast, is the big differences between the American Power Ranger versions of like various Super Sentai seasons. And that being said, it is very important to note that with Power Rangers adapting Zyuranger was not the first Super Sentai series. Zyuranger, if I'm not mistaken, I believe was the, let's see here, 19, 18, 17, 16, the 15th Super Sentai. It was another anniversary season.
Yes.
So there were 14 ones before it, starting with Go Ranger, and then leading all the way up to Jetman, which was the series before that. So you had Go Ranger, Jack, Battle Fever J, the weirdest Super Sentai that ever existed, in my opinion, which was various nations represented as Sentai members.
You mean Hetalia?
Yes, Hetalia, the Super Sentai, including Miss America
Oh yeah.
and Battle Japan,
Battle Japan.
not to mention Battle Cossack.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
God, yeah. The orange Russian Super Sentai member. Then you had Denjiman, Sun Vulcan, Goggle 5, Dynaman, Bioman.
Jordan, you could just make them listen to the song at the end of Gokaiger. They'll tell you all of them.
It's very true.
true.
Well, it'll tell you all of the 35, at least,
yeah.
before. Well, depending on if you watch some of the later ones, they remade that superhero getter into ones that adapted all the way up to Zhuozhi.
All right, now I'm caught up with you on the list. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know I said Bioman, Changeman, Flashman, Maskman, Liveman, Turbo Ranger, Fiveman, and then Jetman. So then everything after that is stuff that in some capacity we know in the States through Power Rangers. All the way up to, ToQger. ToQger is, at this point, the only Super Sentai series that has been just utterly skipped.
Which is a shame, because it's all about imagination. And I feel like that's
and trains.
That's like perfectly hit show. It's just that, train with a penis.
Yeah, the Megazord that has a trained penis. No, I mean, well, that and the fact that when you think about it, trains aren't as big of a thing in America as you'd like to believe, even though if you ever watched cable access and like trains, planes, and automobile, like VHS tapes for like 2 installments of 1999, yeah. So ToQger is the only one that has been skipped, and at this point in time, well, I'm wrong. You're wrong. I'm sorry.
A couple of them skipped, actually.
Yes. So I completely forgot about the fact that they're adapting Ryu Soldier for their latest dinosaur series because they like dinosaurs. So other than ToQger, they have also skipped Zhuozhi, which was Minecraft Zoo. Mm-hmm. They skipped Q Ranger, which was just a fuck ton of rangers in space.
They didn't want to hire that many people, let's be honest.
Space Zodiac, basically.
Yeah. Well,
it's also
Space
a really good Super Sentai. You should watch it.
That's true.
It is a great Super Sentai series.
Wonderful.
I highly recommend it. And they also skipped Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, which that would have been a hard adaptation as well to do. When you think about it with any one of these, like these are ones where, like, in current Power Rangers, for any given season, it's like 10 to 20 episodes, and it's 2 seasons. And in Super Sentai, they have, typically around like 47, 48 episodes. So it's hard to condense. So, especially when you think of Q Ranger, which ended with 12 Rangers on the team. 12. Not that all of them were there at every given time.
Another thing to note about Q Ranger is that it's the first Super Sentai to confirm to be from an alternate universe.
Q Ranger was?
Yep, Q Ranger is the first one.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That's true.
Followed by Kyoryuger, and then... Oh, nope, never mind. Ignore that one. Is also the biggest by far, followed by prior to Kyoryuger and Deca Ranger.
Yes. Yep. That is very true. They proved that it was an alternate dimension thing when they had a Deca Ranger crossover thing, which was interesting. But yeah, so... In America, they decided to skip over a few. They had originally skipped over Go Busters as well, but then when Hasbro got their hands on Power Rangers, they were like, let's adapt Go Busters into Beast Morphers. And while there was a lot of hesitancy, it actually ended up, I would argue, having a better reception as Beast Morphers than it did as Go Busters. But, that's just the thing. But... What I wanted to get to, though, is when you look at the series that were adapted into Power Ranger series, a lot of things were changed from their Super Sentai counterparts. And obviously, the biggest example of that is the fact that Power Rangers in the United States was actually 3 different Super Sentai series in Japan.
Smashed into one entire series.
Yes.
Which we did discuss in Darian's podcast about what our thoughts were as to why they had to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that because Power Rangers as a brand, when they really started, because they had 2 attempts in the past, one of which was, I think it was Bioman.
They tried
Bioman
to do
was one of them.
Yeah, and then Jetman.
Jetman 2. And then Bioman was one that they actually created a dubbed over pilot for it, and that was supposed to air for a more kind of adult audience. So think Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, but for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they were doing.
And, like, they'd made the whole thing, if I'm not correct. They made the whole thing and then just got rid of it.
No, they only made like 1 or 2 episodes.
Well,
And that being said,
they wouldn't have just done everything all in one go.
no, because they were trying to do pilots.
remember
for
I
it.
was
They
reading that.
aired. That's the thing. Like they aired, but they only had like the 2 episodes.
I really wish they had done Jetman, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I agree entirely. And that being said, so if you want to see those pilot episodes, I believe they are still on Verve at this point. And if you want to watch Super Sentai, period, and if you want to get into it, they actually have Jetman through Go-Go 5, which is the Lightspeed Rescue equivalent, on Verve right now through Verve Select.
And you can also buy them on
Shout
Amazon
Factory.
and Shout Factory and
Yep.
get all the ones separately.
Yep.
Completely subbed and completely legal.
Yes.
Yes.
Shout Factory at least had the rights to Super Sentai up until Hasbro got the rights. So Shout Factory has several different Super Sentai series that are officially subbed and you can get through legal means. So I definitely recommend it. I would definitely say Verve is a good way to start,
Yes.
Especially if you like anime and whatnot, because Verve is by the same people that make Crunchyroll, and for $10 a month, note that this is not an advertised thing, but hey, Verve, Crunchyroll, if you ever want to support me in the future, I'm
Do it.
definitely open to that. Not that I am anywhere near big enough at the moment. Anyway, for $10 a month, you get access to Verve Select, you get access to Crunchyroll, you get access to some of High Dive, you get access to Cartoon Hangover, you get access to Nick Splat, Boomerang, and a few other things, all in one package for $10 a month. It is great. It's fantastic. If you like anime, why get Crunchyroll by itself for $7 a month when you can get Verve for $10? It just makes sense. But I digress. When you look at, again, so Power Rangers, and you look at Zyuranger, so have either of you two seen Zyuranger in any capacity?
I can't do it. I tried.
I don't remember watching Zyuranger, but I believe I watched like a little bit of the second season of Mighty Morphin, quote unquote.
If you had to guess, like what would be like the basis? Where are these Rangers from? Like what's their history?
I remember someone once mentioning it to me, and I thought I watched a bit of it to like explain it, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember. I just know it's the most off the wall thing comparative to like what we got.
Yes. So
Did you want me to go?
yeah.
So I actually know what it is. So they're from tribes, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I watched like the first episode and just went, no, can't do it.
Because
It's fair. It's because it's so different. So, like Darian said, the 5 Rangers are from varying dinosaur-related tribes that were frozen in time for like thousands of years, waiting for the return of the witch Bandora. And that's the name of Rita Repulsa in the Super Sentai equivalent. She is a witch that got sealed on the moon.
in a trash can.
In a trash can. Or no. Sorry, not on the moon. It was another just like planet entirely, which is relevant in a like future Super Sentai related thing. So yeah, they're these like cave people essentially that have been frozen in time, waiting for her to return as she floats through the air on her magic bicycle and is trying to kill children because that's her motive. And yeah, compared to Power Rangers, where it's just like a floating head in a tube, summons teenagers with attitude to summon Rita Repulsa, who's been freed on the moon. There are so many more magical elements in Zyuranger in comparison. It's so weird. It's more fantasy rather than sci-fi. Like that's really the kind of like the weird thing there. And I've made it through 20-ish episodes of Zyuranger. So I've actually made it through like some of the Green Ranger stuff, and that's another thing. So the green candle is also a Zyuranger thing. The difference is that the candle is literally his life.
Even better.
So like the Green Ranger has to stay in this weird alternate dimension area, and like as long as he stays in there, his candle does not like burn away. But as soon as he goes out to fight with the other Zyurangers and whatnot, his candle slowly burns. So another big comparison here is that while Tommy just loses his powers in Power Rangers, Green Ranger and Zyuranger just dies as soon as his candle's out. So, which again is another like just big difference in like Super Sentai compared to Power Rangers, because they kill people left and right.
People die
Like,
all the time.
Civilians are constantly dying, especially in early Super Sentai stuff. Like there are some grisly scenes of people just being flat out murdered.
I mentioned how I wanted Jetman to be there, but that Jetman is the.
Jetman does kill people.
Jetman killed somebody at the last episode.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even by like a big monster fight. He was stabbed by a robber.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten that far, but I know who dies. But for anyone that watches Gokaiger, you know who dies.
Yes.
In Jetman.
It's not a spoiler, and if you're
you know who dies in pretty much every.
If you were planning on watching all these through, I commend you, but I also don't believe you, because those are the same people that say they're going to watch all of One Piece. But I digress.
Now that being said, I'm someone that I'm going to attempt to finish everything. The other one that like so the second one was Die Ranger, after Zyuranger, and this is the one where for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers we got the Thunder Zords, we got the White Ranger. Those are both elements of Die Ranger. That being said, in Die Ranger, they were all martial arts focused people, that their suits and their characters were based off of different like Japanese mythical creatures, and like their names were even sung in the theme song. Which, for the record, Super Sentai theme songs and ending songs for that matter, fire. Straight fire.
Straight fire. Every single one.
Same with Kamen Rider.
Never heard a really bad one comparative to America.
Yeah, like
I mean, Ninja
is bad.
I mean, that's
it's all right, but
it's just annoying. That's all.
It's one of the most annoying openings for a Super Sentai I've ever heard, and I once sat down and listened to them all, and I sat there and just went like,
I just like, for anyone that's interested in Super Sentai music, it's literally all on Spotify right now.
Yeah, I'll say, honestly, if you just want to get like a gist of what these look like, just go online and look up every Super Sentai opening.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube, no problem. It's super easy, and it's really interesting to see just the progression that they had. But yeah, that was another one where like Die Ranger also had some dark elements to it, and then Kaku Ranger was the first ninja-based one, and in America, we got the Aquatar Ninja Rangers and Alien Rangers instead. And I said this in the Power Rangers podcast too. That was an interesting one because they swapped when which Zords came first, which is kind of an interesting decision. They decided that the animal-based Ninja Zord should happen first, and then the humanoid ones, even though in the Super Sentai equivalent it was the reverse. But that being said, like, there have been other Super Sentai equivalents that have had some interesting changes to them. So, like, with Zeo and O-Ranger, that was actually military-based. They were a military-based team. With Car Ranger, which was the Turbo equivalent, which coincidentally was also the series that also almost ended Super Sentai in Japan because it just was not liked as well. They were just kind of focused on car safety, from what I'm aware. Like, that was literally the point of the Gokaiger episode. That was Car Ranger, was just like, car safety! Yeah! And it was just like,
Also, don't mix up Car Ranger with Turbo Ranger.
Correct.
Turbo Ranger is actually kind of okay.
That's what I've heard. Turbo Ranger is one of the ones that happened before Jetman. With Mega Ranger, which was our space equivalent, they were high schoolers.
High school students playing a video game.
Correct. Fighting villains from an alternate dimension that, like, just twisted dimensions and whatnot.
Which explains why Ecliptor looks like a polygon from, like...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had a different villain. Or, not different... Sorry. I mean, yes, they obviously had a different villain, because they didn't have Astronema in Japan. But I was going to say the grunts were different in Mega Ranger.
Yeah, if you watch
comparison.
the first... There's that episode of Power Rangers in Space where that kid keeps waking up to all that stuff in the middle of the night. And I think he's talking not to TJ, but to Carlos about him. And they're all jumping out of that plane and go out into the world. Those are the real bad guys.
Yep. They look a lot weirder. With... why am I blanking on the name? The equivalent for Lost Galaxy.
Gingaman.
I think they were like intergalactic farmers or
I'm looking
ranch
it up right now.
hands or something.
They don't say. Combining robots. Star Beasts.
Yeah.
And the Battle Vampires, the Star Beasts, the Gingaman, the Warriors of the Ginga Forest. So it's mystical.
Yeah.
It's mystical.
It's more mystical. It's not the spacey stuff that we were used to. Obviously with Go-Go 5 and Lightspeed Rescue, pretty one-to-one there. And for most of the ones after that, it was very one-to-one as well. Although another one of the big changes was, and we mentioned this in the other podcast as well, with Magi Ranger, which was Mystic Force, they were a family rather than like being, separate individuals.
Also in Go-Go 5.
Yes. Go-Go 5?
Yep, they're all family.
Oh, I did not know that. Which I need to watch that still.
Get good!
I know. I'm supposed to be the expert here. Damn it. No, I'm kidding. But that is also, or one of the other things I wanted to mention too, and again, I said this to an extent.
I'm going to one-up you again one more time.
Fair enough.
The other one that was family was also Five Men that also came before Jetman.
That I know, but it wasn't adapted into Power Rangers. So I know that one. Because that was part of like the that was part of the Gokaiger Hero Getter song.
Yeah.
I remember that. But that being said, another one of the big differences that they had, other than Rangers getting killed off, which also happened to Time Fire, the Quantum Ranger, and also happened to Abare Killer, the White Ranger from Dino Thunder. He was also killed off.
They're killing everybody.
They killed everybody.
Well, I mean, they killed everyone.
They also killed people in Kyoryuger too.
Yep.
They killed, and although some of them were already dead, they had Spirit Rangers.
And then there's the episode of Gal Ranger where everyone died, but then God basically brought them back.
Yeah. Oh, which I forgot to mention that in Jew Ranger, the frickin' dinosaur Zords were all sentient and were revered as gods.
I believe it.
Yeah. It was at least when they were you would have random moments where they're talking to the dinosaurs and they're like presented in a line in the clouds and like all their glory.
It happens in Gohanger too. Those are all sentient too.
Yes. They're all sentient there.
Ryu Soldier seems more and more reminiscent of Zoojer. I can never say these names. Zoojer, yes.
Zoojer, yeah.
And I can understand now.
Oh, no, Jew Ranger. Jew Ranger. Sorry, Zoojer is Minecraft Zoo.
That's right.
Forgot about that.
Zoojer.
Yeah. So good. One of the other big differences between the Super Sentai and American counterparts is that in Super Sentai, you very often had it where there was only one female on a team of Rangers. But in America, they wanted to still market to girls more, so more often than not you had it where the Yellow Ranger, that was usually a man in Japan, would be substituted for a woman in the Power Rangers series. And this happened several times. This happened for Power Rangers, or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because in Jew Ranger, the Yellow Ranger was a man. It happened in Lightspeed Rescue, where the Yellow Ranger was a man. It happened in
Time
Time Force. It happened in Lost Galaxy. It happened in Wild Force. And I think, I said in the last one that the last podcast that Wild Force was the last time. It does. And I think it's one of those things where, like, in America, I think Yellow is definitely.
Yeah, I think it only happens like where we only had one female 3 times.
It happened a couple times.
Because Ninja Storm.
Ninja Storm had happened. It happened in Dino
and
Thunder. It happened in.
And then just recently with the Beast Morphers.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
for females as Yellow Rangers.
Yeah, like just one. Where it was
just one. A female ranger.
Just one female ranger.
Right.
Like just one.
Right.
It's only happened 3 times.
Yes. Although that being said, with Dino Charge, it started out with just one female, but then another one was added later on.
Yeah.
Which was the same for the Super Sentai equivalent. But I think that's another thing. I think in America it made sense to market it that way.
Honestly, I prefer it that way. For me, it's weird to watch a Super Sentai with one female. It's just like,
Well, just having a whole fighting group of just guys doesn't really seem like an
realistic.
interest for kids in general. So like having a bit of a diverse group of people made more sense.
And even like in Ryu Soldier, I didn't like that where it was just one female. I was like,
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, like, with Super Sentai, they went back and forth between having one and having 2. Like, that was, like, always the thing. So, the fact that it more often... I shouldn't say more often than not. I think in the earlier days, yes, it was more often than not, it was 4 guys and 1 girl.
Yeah.
But, yeah, having that diversity was always just kind of something that was better.
Am I wrong to remember Q Ranger only having just 2 girls and that was it?
You are not wrong, because that is correct. Out of 12 Rangers, 2 of them were girls.
The robot and the chameleon thief.
It's okay. It's Hammy and Raptor.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm fine with both of them.
I'm just surprised though that it was only the 2. I thought there was more.
Again, it's one of those things where, like, there's never been. No, I shouldn't say that, because there have been. Deca Ranger was the only one that had more than 2 female rangers. And that being said, unfortunately, they were, like, very limited. You had Deca Swan, which was the
Cat Ranger
in SPD, and then you had the Nova Ranger from the...
The Ranger was a girl?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
The one that only appeared in, like, the finale.
Oh, that one, okay.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, she was a girl. And then there was also, like, Deca 10, which was, like, gold. She was a movie one. She was female. She didn't, like...
They need to get good, man.
Get to stay. Like, she, like, briefly transformed and was immediately knocked out of it. So, yeah, Deca Ranger is the only one that has had... Oh, no. I'm already correcting myself again. Sorry. It is one of 2.
I was going to say.
The second one is Kyoryuger. Because in the last part of Kyoryuger, the Kyoryusian is changed hands from Ramos, the white bearded English-speaking Japanese man who's part Canadian. That's interesting as it is. Pass his powers along to the sister of the Blue Ranger, who was also previously the Blue Ranger from Hurricaneger, the Ninja Storm equivalent. Yeah. So that season had 3.
Shinkenger technically would have 3 at one point.
Oh my god, I'm getting corrected left and right. Yes. Oh my god.
I was wondering.
No. I know you knew that. I was just mentioning it.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, because they would replace the Red Ranger with a female, which mirrors it also happening in Super Samurai 2.
They did it better in Japan, though. Which
of course.
It should
that always happens.
It should not be a surprise at this point. So I mean, that's always been one of those kind of things, and I think that's where there's also kind of a hesitancy of watching some of, like, the Power Rangers, or the Super Sentai, like, original ones that were turned into Power Rangers, because you don't want to necessarily, like, lose that nostalgia that you had for the original Power Rangers.
You don't want to
ones.
admit that it was shit.
Or admit that there was something that was better.
Yeah. It's like I look at Time Ranger. Time Ranger just ends on such a sad note, and it's just like, because the girl he likes, the red and the pink of that time, basically are separated by 1,000 years of time, and like watching them go away, and then he sees a girl like in his time period that looks like her, and he's like, oh hey, let's face it, that's just weird, but also really sad.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I liked with Go Geyser is it started off with 2 females. One of them was a fucking badass.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like Luca's probably my favorite yellow or female ranger I've seen so far.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Probably closest since to me is Tsukasa from Patch Ranger.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like going throughout them all. It's just like you just click to the ones that you really click with. Like for me, I went back and watched Bokenger because it's just like they're going around the world having adventures and being Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. That's freaking cool.
Yep.
And Operation Overdrive screw that up.
Yep. I also appreciate it because with Super Sentai, they're more willing to go out on some wacky limbs here and there with more interesting characters that we don't get in Japan or in Power Rangers. So case in point, Daigoyo from Shinkenger, which was in the Japanese version, he was literally a talking lantern, and he became he came into existence because Guy in the one of the Shinkenger episodes is turned into a piece of sushi, and he's almost eaten by a cat. Now, unfortunately for him, his morpher is a sushi changer. So, like, seeing it, he is, like, just having this PTSD. So he's just like, all right, I gotta figure out a way that I can help the team without, going through these lapses. And so he gives life to a lantern from his sushi cart. And it becomes a wisecracking little robot that, like, is hilarious.
He sounds like the freaking robot that you have in freaking Lupin Ranger versus Patch Ranger. That's constantly Goody.
Yeah, except he was better. Daigoyo.
I see how it is, Jordan.
Goody was okay, but I believe what is it?
Daigoyo.
Daigoyo was the starting point of that.
Oh my god.
I mean, he wasn't the starting point by all means, but I just think he was a better character.
Also, wasn't like Circuit worse in Time Ranger? Because, like, aren't they like a little shit over in Time Ranger, and the Circuit's an adorable owl?
It's possible. I
haven't think that's
watched,
what happened.
I haven't admittedly watched it yet, and I still need to. Like, that is one of the ones I really want to watch. But that's the thing.
Right. Which ones have we seen so far? Which ones have we seen so far that going back and, like, as far back?
So, for me, with Super Sentai, of the Power Rangers ones, I have seen most of Magi Ranger, which was Mystic Force. I have seen and some of Zhu Ranger, some of Mega Ranger, and that's currently it. So I have seen Shinkenger onwards, and I've stuck with that, and I'm still working my way back. And thanks to Verve, now I'm watching like Jetman through Go-Go 5, so...
Thank you, Verve.
I'm finally getting to that, and thank you, Shout Factory, for partnering with Verve. And I have a very strong feeling that they're still going to add more of the Shout Factory lineup, because, like I said, they've just slowly been adding it.
It'd be throwing money away not to do the other ones leading up to that.
Yeah.
It'd be throwing money away.
Yeah. So, that's what I've personally watched. But that being said, other than not finishing Ryu Soldier, I've watched every Super Sentai to completion since. Except Go Busters.
Shinkenger?
I did not finish Go Busters.
Okay. I've seen Bioman, started Live Man. And then, of course, I jump I've seen some of Gingaman, some of Time Ranger, and then finished Gokaiger, did not watch Go Busters, and then watched... Oh, shoot, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Kyoryuger I did not watch. Although I have started Dino Charge, and I'm probably going to watch one after the other. ToQger I did watch. Mm-hmm. After you kept bullying me into it.
ToQger was... Okay, this is
I
going to be controversial.
I was very apprehensive towards it. It's really weird.
It is really weird, and it is going to... For some people, this is going to be like a very controversial opinion. I like ToQger. And I actually also really liked the ending to ToQger, and I cried at the end of ToQger. And
it's really sad.
I also think that Akira, the Sixth Ranger, the orange one, is one of my favorite Sixth Rangers, period. He's amazing. It's hilarious. Like, every time he goes into a fight, he's like, so this is where I die. And it's just like, no.
Hopefully not.
Please no.
Akira, stop it.
Like literally that was the thing. But like, he wasn't wimpy is like the good thing, because like that was an issue with Gio the World from Zyuohger when he turned good. He just became a wimp of a character. So it's just kind of like, eh. At least with Akira, he's like, I'm a badass. I'm gonna die here. No, don't, Akira. I might. Don't.
I just might.
I might, though.
It's like, mind you, that's coming also off of the Kyoryuger guys, and then Guy from frickin' Gokaiger, who was literally a Super Sentai fanboy.
He was a fanboy.
Who was visited by the ghosts of Obari Killer, Geo Green, and Timefire.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, Dragon Ranger. So literally 3 guys who started out as bad guys, and they're like, we're gonna give you power so that you can fight. And it's just like, thank you, douchebags who are dead.
Guy is... I love Guy as a Sixth Ranger. He's just a bundle of freaking energy, and he's also a freaking meme because, like, he's like, at the end when they're considering giving up their powers and stuff, and he's just sitting there like frustrated with his like, but if I do that, like, none of the other Sentais will like me or something like that. And I'm just sitting here going like, but you can save the world right now. And then I was like, nah, okay, we're just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, right.
It's
that's the core of Gokaiger. It's literally fuck it.
well, literally when Guy was introduced, it was just like, all right, so I'm going to explain to you now how you can effectively use these powers that you have of other Super Sentai people. You have been doing all right so far, but I can unlock your true potential.
I can help. Shut up.
Shut up, Guy.
It's like, no, we're good. Marvelous. Wait.
Marvelous
We'll figure it out.
Marvelous is like, bye. Doc's just like, hey, you were nice, bye.
Yeah.
I love though. I will say this. I love that every time that Gokaiger comes back for like a Super Sentai special or like a crossover movie or whatever, it's just like, all right, well, we collected the keys all over again. All right, let's time to fight.
Yep.
It's like that they have to do it every freaking time. It's just like, well, we gotta go get those keys again.
Yeah, I think after like the 3rd time, they just be like, you know what, we should just
Also,
like hold on to these. Like,
Let's go to a key maker and just make duplicates.
The thing I like about Gokaiger also is whenever one of the characters shows up, it's just like they never ever get along with whomever is like the new Rangers around. Like when Marvelous met the guy from Zyuohger, he was just like, whatever, get away from me.
They never got along with anyone. They're their own pod. They don't want to deal with anyone.
No, they get along with some.
Green and Pink always did.
Green and Pink get along.
Just that.
And Marvelous gets along with the occasional person. Like
I'm talking about outside the team. They didn't really care about anyone else too much.
They get along with some people outside the team. Not everybody. I think that Marvelous gets along after getting his ass kicked by Black from Jetman.
Wow.
He got his ass kicked by Black from Jetman, and he's just like, okay, I respect you, old man.
Yeah, that's just more of a respect thing instead of a, I'm your friend now, though.
But the guy from Zyuohger was during and one of the
Psycho's strongest super battles.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things I've seen so far in like the last couple of years. Is just like Marvelous showing up to save Luca, and when when he finally saves Luca, are you okay? Smacks the shit out of him. What the hell took you so long?
Yeah.
And then like it's funny because Luca from Gokaiger is the voice actress for Raptor from Q Ranger, and they actually have them in the same room going, hey, your guys' voices sound alike. And I was like, what?
Fun fact, she's also the voice of one of the AIs from 01 for Kamen Rider.
She also does a couple of anime songs, too.
Yes.
She is Mao?
Yep.
Or MAO?
Yeah, she's a voice actress for several things. And Guy, his voice actor, voiced Joe in the Digimon Tri movies.
Love that. Yep. But there's so much to go over. We don't want to go over too many times. What's your guys' favorite, sorry to steal the thunder, Jordan.
Oh, no, good.
What's your guys' favorite Sentai opening so far that you've seen?
Opening?
Yeah. What's your favorite opening so far? Cause
I mean, of the ones I've seen, which have only been Gokaiger, Q Ranger, Lupin Ranger, Ryu Soldier, and Kira Ranger at this point, because I haven't had the time to go back.
We'll get you your thing, Jordan. Garrett, I promise.
Well, it's fine. I mean, to be fair, the only one that I've really enjoyed, opening wise, I think it just because of the composition of the songs and everything has been the Lupin Ranger, Patrol Ranger.
I was gonna say that's my favorite opening because it's literally two openings singing alongside each other, and it's toned so well to the actual opening. Mm-hmm. And then the other one would probably have to be the Q Ranger one because it's so full of hope and stupid, dorky, and campy. And I just love it so much. But mine's probably the Lupin Ranger and Patch Ranger opening.
But I mean, that's only just because those are the ones I've seen.
But of the ones I've seen as well, it's just the Lupin Ranger and Patch Ranger one is just on another level than the other two.
I mean,
What's yours, Jordan? You've seen more than us.
Yes, I have, and I like I said, I have all of them.
He likes nothing. He likes rubbing.
I have all of them in a playlist, and I listen to them quite a bit. Mine kind of runs the gambit. I do really enjoy Q Rangers.
I
think that one
what's your favorite today?
Fantastic one. That's really, in all honesty, really hard to pick. I actually have a really big soft spot for Geki Ranger's theme song.
Ooh.
Geki Ranger has just I love just the passion and the whatnot in that song. It goes perfectly with the martial arts aspect of the show. I think that one's fantastic. I do think Time Ranger has a fantastic opening. It's also one of the very few female sung ones, because those are actually just incredibly rare. Other than the Lupin Ranger, Pat Ranger one, and Time Ranger, there aren't any other female-led opening songs. And that's a travesty in and of itself.
It's really a tragedy. I mean, it's shocking when you think of Japan.
Yeah, it really is.
Because most openings are sung by females in Japan in anime and a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And just to see most of the Sentai ones are males is just weird.
Yep. But that being said, in all honesty, if I had to pick one that stood above the rest, I'd actually pick Go-Go 5.
Really?
Go-Go 5 is my current favorite Super Sentai opening.
It's not actually that bad.
No, it's not. I just love the male singer for that song.
Alan had it on repeat. Our friend Alan, a friend of the show, had that on repeat on his phone when he was in Japan for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the endings are great too. To all of them, I think they're fantastic. That being said, I definitely recommend, if you ever have the chance, obviously, yes, I think that you should watch all of the openings on YouTube if you haven't already. And if you want to listen to the full versions of any of the songs, like I said, they're all on Spotify. You can get all of them. They're free. They have every single one from Go Ranger all the way to Kira Major right now. Full versions of the opening and the ending. But that being said, if you ever have the opportunity to go on YouTube and watch a live, the concert versions of any one of these songs, it is amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
It is, crazy. They have full stadiums of adults, teenagers, kids waving like their light batons in the air as they have like the singers for these openings, endings, and suit actors coming up on stage, and some of the live actors too, like singing these songs, performing for giant sold out stadiums.
Like, one of my favorite things is to watch the live version of the Lupin Ranger Patch Ranger opening, because you have you have them singing together while all that stuff's going on. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, same for Kamen Rider. Like the ones they have for that too, like just amazing.
Speaking of Kamen Rider, though,
we will get to that.
We will get to that.
But yeah, I have a tremendous love for Super Sentai. I truly do. As someone who is still a Power Rangers fan to this day, and I believe me when I say I have a lot of Power Ranger stuff. I have a lot of love for Power Ranger, and I also have a lot of love for Kamen Rider. And I have more Kamen Rider merchandise than I do of Super Sentai merchandise.
Same.
And that's because of availability, for the most part. Otherwise, like, it's Kamen Rider stuff's cooler. But.
Also, a lot of times, which is the weird thing, is that we get Kamen Rider stuff mostly from, obviously, out of state. Out of country.
Or through Amazon,
Or through Amazon.
Which is still usually out of state to get it.
But and then the thing is, with Power Rangers, we don't get the American run stuff because a lot of it's poopy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, we don't get the import because we just get the Kamen Rider instead.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think I was like trying to get my hands on one of the Gokai changers. Yeah.
The Mobile.
And like all I did was collect all I wanted to do was collect the keys from the American ones just to see what they did.
They do nothing because they are a different size.
Yeah, they are a different size, so they don't work. And it bothered me. I was like, I wonder what would happen if I did this with the American keys.
So the Mobiritz is literally the only piece of Super Sentai physical merchandise that I own.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only one. Yeah. And I had to have it.
Yep.
There was no way I was going to go without one.
One day I plan on getting like the Gokaiser Morpher properly and getting all that stuff. And I got the Morpher for like a hot second, then I realized I don't want this. I want the real one.
I would love it if one day through like Premium Bandai or whatever that they would have like a premium collection of all of the Ranger keys. I don't know if we'll ever get that. I think they've done it a couple times.
They've done specials with the keys that usually are to fill in the missing Ranger ones that come after the show.
Yep.
But a lot of times those ones aren't even compatible with the phone.
Correct.
But they do include sometimes like one single barrel or a couple different barrels that'll play certain
special.
One of the things I would do is like add a new tune. If you could do the technology right, you could add a new tune for like whichever one you did.
Well, that being said, like they very well could for another anniversary season.
For sure,
they could create an anniversary Mobiritz
like for the
that has
for
the new
40 or
stuff.
45th.
We're gonna be on our 45th next year.
Yep, they could do an updated version of it. Yeah, but I mean I believe they've already done that.
I wonder what they're going to do for after Kira Major. Now that I think about it, because
they did have the silver one, then they had the gold one.
I don't know. It's a good question.
What are we going to? Yeah, because we're going to be up on our 45th next year, and it's just like they always try to do something special on the 5-year or like even 4-year, like 5 years or 10-year anniversaries or whatever.
Yep. No, it's going to be something big. I mean, and Kamen Rider's already celebrating its 50th. So, I mean, which I don't... Have either of you seen the logo for the 50th anniversary?
I have not.
It is super cool. It's... So, you know how, like, sometimes they'll have, like, the leaves around, like, an image or whatever, like the symbol? Instead of, like just regular
like
leaves.
The 20th anniversary one?
Yeah. So, instead of regular leaves, they have the visors for every single Kamen Rider all around the edge.
That's cool.
It looks so nice.
But to add to that, like, I was thinking, like, in my head, I was actually thinking shocking, and I'll get to that. No, this is a song I want to say for Kamen Rider stuff.
Okay, we'll say it for Kamen Rider stuff.
Because I realized in my head as I was thinking, I was like, wait, that's a Kamen Rider thing. Never mind.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So I guess in that regard, then, are there any last thoughts on Super Sentai from either of you?
Not really. I just really think that if you guys haven't tried it and you guys are iffy on it, give them a shot. And I would say do what Garrett suggested to me and watch Gokaiser, because you'll be able to watch the stuff you saw growing up and see it in such a different way. So you'll be introduced to the past of Super Sentai without having to watch most of it.
While honoring
Yeah.
the 35 years that came before.
It'll redeem having watched Super Mega Force.
If you did.
If you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you did. And if you did, once again, I'm sorry you had to look through that. I'm sorry about your eyes. I'm sorry about the wasted time.
And watching it will explain a lot of battles that they had to go through.
You'll
and
get
they'll make
the
much
big
more
battle
sense.
movies if you watch this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's another, actually, an important thing to note, is that with Super Sentai, with any one of these Super Sentai series, they each have at least 2 movies that they're a part of, which is something that you don't get with Power Rangers. So with Super Sentai, they have it where you would get one movie that was based on the team itself, and they would fight an enemy or whatever, and then the other movie was a versus movies with the previous Super Sentai team. Other than that, they also had the Superhero Taisen series, which featured Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. They would also include sometimes some of the Metal Heroes and whatnot. Kamen Rider explores some other tokusatsu stuff as well. But that's really a big thing, is that, like, Super Sentai had movies for every single series, and a lot of them were very good. So I definitely recommend it.
And you also have actors and actresses aren't ashamed to come back and do crossovers and
Yes, yes, but that's also the thing. They shoot in Japan.
Yeah.
So, like, especially with Gokaiger, they had it where, like, they could easily access the actors and actresses that played previous parts.
And most of them always came back for it. And, like, even like in like the big hero battle that you guys I guarantee you, if you've been like watching for Power Ranger stuff on the internet, you've seen the Super Sentai huge crossover hero battle
with 199 heroes fighting it out.
You've seen that. That's an actual thing that happens.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They had a shit ton of suit actors.
It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yep. It is super awesome.
And the cool thing about Gokaiger is it takes place right directly after that.
Yes.
Yep.
So
not at the end of it,
no,
but before it.
Yes.
It it introduces what causes this big battle.
Yeah.
Correct. And why all of a sudden all of the Super Sentai heroes weren't fighting anymore because they gave up their powers.
Yeah.
To stop someone that came back anyways.
Yep. Any last thoughts on Super Sentai for you, Garrett?
No, that's pretty much about it. Just to cover what he said, pretty much covered everything else that I really had thoughts on. But
yeah. And just like Power Rangers, you know, there are ups and downs with Super Sentai.
Not everything is win.
Not everything is a win. Like we shit on Ninja because it's really not good.
It's got the worst name.
From what I've seen, it's just it looks very campy. Too much campy.
I watched the entire thing and like it just wasn't that great.
When we were doing the Dork List, we watched week to week and tried to talk about it, and at a certain point, we just couldn't do it anymore.
But yeah, just because it wasn't that great at that point. And that's the thing I will say as well. Like, I have been watching Super Sentai week after week, as well as Kamen Rider, ever since 2010. So for 10 years, I have been watching
Congratulations on your anniversary, buddy.
Thank you. And I've loved every second of it. But now we move on to Kamen Rider, which admittedly is more so my current passion now than Super Sentai or Power Rangers. And that's just because Kamen Rider is the badass older brother of Super Sentai.
For sure.
It is.
It is.
So it all started with a single Kamen Rider, a cyborg created by an evil government, or not evil government, an evil organization named Shocker, who who was able to revive his heart for justice, and on his trusty motorcycle fought Shocker and tried to save the world. A weird, wacky premise that has gone on for 50 years, now spanning 3 eras of Japan. Kamen Rider is really interesting. Where Super Sentai had it where, you know, you had a team of heroes that would fight together to fight evil and use a giant robot to defeat their enemies. Kamen Rider, more often than not, featured a single hero fighting by himself to take down evil. And over the course of the show's history, you had various writers with various different motifs. You had them riding motorcycles. You had you had 2 driving cars, although one of them was literally the motif. Mm-hmm. And in this house, we stan Kamen Rider Drive. We stan. And by we, I mean me. I stan Kamen Rider. I know you do, but I'm saying, like,
I feel like he's coming at me for this because when we were watching it together, I was not hyping it.
I'm not.
It's fine.
I'm saying, though, like, I stan Kamen Rider Drive. I stan it. But I digress. So, whereas Gokaiger, or not Gokaiger, while Shinkenger was my first Kamen Rider series, Kamen Rider Double was my first Kamen Rider series. Now, that being said, Decade was ending its run, leading into, like, the second half of Shinkenger, because that's just how they alternate in Japan. A new Super Sentai always happens at the tail end of winter going into spring, and then Super Sentai always starts in the fall. Kamen Rider always starts in the fall. And Double to me was so freaking cool, because it was a detective-based show that had 2 guys forming together to create one superhero, fighting against evil in their town with people using evil USB sticks and sticking them into their bodies, becoming monsters. And I loved the tone of the show, because we've already discussed the fact that Super Sentai is darker than Power Rangers. And that's, you know, because of American audiences and how they just kind of had to make it more TV.
I blame American audiences.
But it's hard to say that, though, because if you think about a lot of stuff we watched in the late 90s and early 2000s, yes, there was some messed up things we watched.
So early 90s and going into the 2000s was a different time period.
But think about it,
like the
Power Rangers, even for its time, was actual real people committing, like, fighting martial arts acts on television.
Yep. Yeah, that's also true.
And that's fine. And for a while they said, okay, that's fine. But then Kamen Rider, people are dying in Kamen Rider all the time.
And they're exploring darker elements a lot. And we'll go into the specifics for some of them. But that's the thing, is that with Kamen Rider, more often than not, they were constantly facing something that was potentially world-ending or just killing off people left and right. Not saying that Super Sentai wasn't, because earlier Super Sentai definitely was. But there was a turning point at some point with Super Sentai where they were like, alright, so we can show people getting, like, really injured or getting flung off into space where we all know that they're technically dead, because whenever they're landing, they're just, you know,
I was even reading on the wiki, right while we were reading, that after Jetman, nobody really died for about 20 years.
Yeah, they still were doing it kind of in Zyuranger, though.
Yeah.
Like, Jetman was... I will definitely agree that Jetman was... It was the same year, so
it was around that time period where...
Yes.
For 20 years, nobody on Super Sentai died.
Yes. Jetman, I can say definitively, Jetman definitely had still that darker edge to it than Zyuranger did. Zyuranger still has it where, like, there were some darker elements, but with Kamen Rider, that has always been a constant, pretty much. Kamen Rider... for the most part, other than when they would have, like, Den-O, which was the gag Kamen Rider series. Yes. Everything else just had a lot of darker elements to it. And people died. People died regularly. Whether they were Kamen Riders or civilians, they died. And that was something that, like, I appreciated. Like, the fact that, like, there was, you know, an even darker step up from that.
Like an actual more real worldish kind of feel to it, not just like enemies from space are coming and fighting and a team of 5 people have to go do it, but no, more so like this is happening in a small town where one dude's trying to figure out why their neighbors just got like taken out for whatever reason.
Yep. So that is something that I've always appreciated with Kamen Rider. Garrett, what was the first Kamen Rider series that you got into?
The first one I got into was Gaim, and I remember watching it all the time because I, for some reason, or by just sheer coincidence, actually never knew the Gaim opening for the longest time. Because I watched Gaim.
I know why.
I watched Gaim on YouTube in like 2 to 3 parts. Like you would watch.
Back in the day, you watched.
Back in the day, and I do not know to this day what the theme song they had to put in to kind of get away from copyright claims so they could show it on YouTube.
Yep.
I never found out what that song was, but it was so good until one day Jordan was picking me up to go do something, and he had his playlist going of all the Kamen Rider themes, and he's like, I'm surprised you're not reacting to this one. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, this is the one for Guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Kamen Rider Gaim had literally the most copyright striked opening out of all.
Which because it is an absolutely great theme.
It is the fucking definition of fire, and I'm sorry to swear in fucking fire.
Because whatever I got was a more soothing sounding one. Still a very good song. I just don't know what it is. And to this day, I cannot find the YouTube video so I could try and clip the song to figure out where it came from.
Probably because it got a copyright stricken and just take it down.
Probably, but I was still somehow able to watch. Because the thing for that too was, I was able to watch it every week. Mm-hmm. New videos were being uploaded.
Yep.
On YouTube too.
Until YouTube eventually smashed all that and took it.
It could have happened, or I just don't know where it is.
No,
I watched them.
YouTube started axing like all of Kamen Rider off of YouTube, literally not too long after Gaim. Because you told me to go watch it on YouTube, and then like I watched it for like 2 weeks, it was gone.
Yeah. I watched through Facebook for years because there was a Facebook group that would post the overtime and TV Nihon subs for the Kamen Rider series.
You kept trying to make me watch them raw, and I'm like, no.
What? No. Why?
Because like,
why would I would not do that.
You told me to watch the raw versions of those episodes.
I doubt I did.
You did. Like with no subs, and I'm like, no, Jordan, no.
I disagree. If anything,
you were watching them though.
Okay, maybe a little bit, but I like the only show that I would watch kind of raw was Inazuma 11, but that was just because it's soccer. So I mean, it's soccer.
How you really watch something? Yeah.
But yeah. I'm glad you watched Gaim.
Was Gaim the first one for you then?
No, because all Garrett did was when he introduced me to Kamen Rider was, you'll like Kamen Rider because it's like Power Rangers, and he tried to make a look at Gaim, and I'm like, it looks a little weird.
Which, if you don't know, Gaim is basically fruits and samurais.
Like, the plot sounded awesome.
Well, not samurais, but...
It's Sengoku Warriors.
Yeah.
And death.
Lots of death. Lots and lots of death. I thought it was a funny, great show, because it started out that way, and then it went just straight downhill with people literally dying.
That's because you had Gen the Uro Butcher frickin' writing for Gaim. Frickin' Magica Modica,
Serial Experience, Lance Lane,
Magica.
And for me and Jordan, Digimon Tamers.
Yeah.
Same fucker.
Yeah. But go on, dude.
But my fuck that guy.
Yeah, I know.
But it's like, I remember just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I need to try Kamen Rider, but I don't want to go with Gaim. I want to build up to Gaim. So I'm sitting there going, what should I fucking watch? And I'm just looking, I'm like, okay, Kamen Rider. Deno, no. Kiva, no. Decade.
Straight into the anniversary.
Straight into the anniversary one. I was gonna watch from there, and I watched Decade, and my jaw fucking dropped because I'm just like, oh my god, it's Go Kaiser but with Kamen Rider.
Yup.
And I'm just sitting here watching this stuff, and it's just like all these writers up and dying in the first 5 minutes. And I'm just going like, what the hell is going on? And it's like, oh, Decade's supposed to kill everybody. I'm like, what? So the Kamen Rider's supposed to kill everybody? And they're showing us all the alternate worlds and everything, and like, it is just... And then the opening, which we talk about the Gaim opening being fire. Nothing gets more fucking fire in 2000 and freaking like
It was 2010.
2010 around that time than Gact doing your opening.
Yeah.
Gact did the opening for Decade, and I fucking love that opening. It's probably my second favorite opening next to Gaim's. Because just like Gact just does such a beautiful fucking job. So you get to see a new Kamen Rider every single time, every single couple of episodes. It's also the shortest Kamen Rider, now I think about it, because it's only 30
Correct.
episodes.
Yes.
So, for whatever reason, Decade was just kind of made short. And part of the issue there was that, like... So with Decade, they were focusing, at least in the beginning, more so on the Heisei era of Kamen Riders. So, for those that are unaware, there are 3 eras, and this goes with the Japanese feudal lord.
4 if you want to really have subgroups.
Yeah.
Heisei and Neo Heisei.
Right.
Yes, but they're still part of the Heisei era. So there was the Showa era, which was Kamen Rider Ichigo, all the way up to Kamen Rider Black RX. Then you had, for the Heisei era, it was Kamen Rider Kuga all the way up to Decade. For the Neo Heisei era, it was Double all the way up to ZO. And then the current era is the Reiwa era, which is currently 01 and Kamen Rider Saber, which is
Currently airing.
And it's going to have its 3rd episode coming out on the day that we're recording this podcast. So Decade, when it started out, it was focusing on the Heisei era Kamen Riders. And essentially they were just doing 2 episodes per writer. Once they finished doing those, they started throwing out some other Kamen Riders that were some of the Showa era ones. They were doing some original stuff. But yeah, then they ended it on a kind of a cliffhanger that you had to watch one of 2 movies in order to get an ending. Because depending on what movie you watched, it was a different ending.
You have a good ending or an evil ending.
Yeah. I will admit
which is very interesting for them to do, actually.
Yeah.
For them to create a character that has a great impact, quote unquote, on like the entirety of the world of Kamen Rider, and they take the time to make 2 separate movies where one, everything's fine and the worlds come together, and the other one, he just kills everyone and becomes the leader of Shocker.
Yep.
Yeah.
In all honesty, that movie, though, is just kind of just weird continuity-wise.
The movie is just weird because you don't know how to feel about either one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just like, he's evil now. He has a sister.
Yeah.
Huh?
But I digress.
Which makes things very interesting when around the time of Zio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or as I like to call it, Decade 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Honestly.
Because Decade kind of stole the show for Zio.
Because it's Decade fighting the new Decade.
It was just like, all right, Decade, we're giving you your episodes that you should have had in your series in Zio to make up for what you missed.
I'm taking over the rest of this show.
Yep. But I digress. So, Decade was your first one.
It was the first one I watched, and then slowly after that, I jump all around all of like Kamen Rider now. Like after I finished Decade, it was like I tried to go back and try to watch the earlier era Heisei ones, and it's just like I can't do it.
You mean Showa?
Wait, no, let me rephrase.
Because you did watch some of the Heisei ones.
I watched Fies.
Okay.
Which is Heisei.
Yeah, I watched Fies all the way through, and it is
dark,
and fucked up. Fives is fucked up and weird.
Fives is very dark.
I remember just picking it out of a hat because I liked the way that like Fives appeared and decayed, and I'm just like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah.
But after Fives, and I tried with Drive, and here's the thing about me: I've been terrible at watching Kamen Rider week to week to week. I'm not like these two, where these guys got their Elder Kamen Rider cards, where they can watch week to week.
I don't.
Not really.
We're not Elder Kamen Rider. I mean, like, the fact of the matter is, like,
it just happens. Like nowadays, I just haven't been able to watch it week to week. Before, I was waiting like a while and then just binging episodes at a time.
Yeah.
Once I've finished watching Kuga, Agito, Ryuki, and Hibiki, then I will accept my Elder Kamen Rider fan card.
And then after Fives, I did Blade.
Yep.
Also dark.
Very else, yep.
And then after Blade, started and finished Wizard and hated myself.
Which most people do when they watch Wizard.
I've yet to go through that, so.
And
enjoy
then
hating yourself when you finally do.
Sure I will.
Started O's not too recently. I started O's. Finished Ghost. Started Build. Stopped watching current Kamen Rider through like 3.25 years, and watched nothing but Forze, and Forze has now slowly become my favorite, next to Gaim and Decade.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now it's just like I've started with 01, but I haven't finished it. And then like, yeah, it's been off and on everywhere. And then and I finished Den-O.
Out of curiosity, did you know that several of the Forze actors are in the live-action Bleach movie?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I think is good.
The live-action Bleach movie is great.
It wasn't great, but it was very good.
Yeah.
For what they had to work with compared to other live-action anime movies.
I was just saying that for you seem to jump around a lot and like have some unfinished seasons.
Yeah.
I've been pretty good about kind of completing seasons if I watch them.
If you start one?
Yeah, the only I always have like, obviously I'm watching the current one just to keep up on it, but then also if I get some downtime during the week, I tend to watch other seasons. Like I started with Gaim, and then I've been up with Drive, Ghost, X8, Build, Zio as they come out. And then other ones that I've gone back to watch in the time was I'd watched Decade when I was watching X8. I started and finished both Kuga and Agito, which from watching that very first one to seeing how Decade was and how Gaim was, very stark difference, but still very good seasons. Like I really like Kuga as like an introduction, and I can see how that kickstarted a lot of people's love for Kamen Rider.
Oh yeah, Kuga really restarted the Kamen Rider love.
And it was because of the fact that Kuga was in Decade that I'm like, oh, he was the first writer.
He's really.
I want to know more about this character.
Yeah.
And it was very much worth my time. And right now, currently, I've also watched O's and Forze. I've gone and watched those. The one I'm currently going through right now is Den-O. And I think I'm about halfway through. Or close to halfway through.
So have you already gotten to the female lead actress change?
Not yet.
Okay, enjoy that.
Enjoy that. You're not gonna have a good time.
Well,
yeah, that's Den-O is notorious for the actor change stuff that happened with the lead actress and then the lead actor after the series is over. So
yeah, they kind of were able to okay it, and
they make it work. I'll say that.
They
make it
work.
Understandable in the continuity of the show.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say because Den-O is all about not necessarily following continuity because of messing with time.
Yes.
But I digress. Yeah. No, I'll say I actually have left Kabuto and Kuga unfinished. I need to finish both of those.
I'm surprised you haven't finished Kabuto though.
I just fell off the horse at one point in time. That's just how it is. So, yeah. All right, seamless transition. There was never a pause in the video here. Never.
Never.
We were just really quiet for like 2 seconds just to see if people were still listening, seeing if they were snoring, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of the audio here, there will be like technically no gap because it's just recorded that way. But I digress. Anyway, okay, so we were talking about the shows that we've watched and whatnot, and while we were away, an interesting point was brought up about Kamen Rider build, which I also think is important for the series as a whole, in that when you think of Kamen Rider build, it's got 3 parts to the story. When you think about a lot of the Kamen Rider series, except for Decade, just because of how it was structured, a lot of the Kamen Rider series are 2 or 3 parters when you think about it. Yeah. And that's something that you didn't necessarily have per se in either Super Sentai or
You never have that in Super Sentai.
Not true.
No, not true.
In Super Sentai, there are definitely like parts for some of them.
Gokaiger definitely had parts, especially at the end there when there was just like, oh, here's the big bad for 2 episodes.
Yep. Go Busters had it. Go Sager had it, where like there were 3 major villain factions.
Like, also in Gokaiger, now I remember that the main dude dies.
Right, and that's the thing.
That's the thing. Like he came.
There was a second part
like,
where the actual main villain came out, but like in comparison, it's pretty much a mainstay of the series, where like every Kamen Rider series is in 2 or 3 parts, which I think is a testament to the writing of it as well. Like that was definitely something that was like a major thing. So like obviously for build, like there was the beginning parts where like they were focusing just on the 1/3 of the nation. The second part addressed the like 2 other fractions of the nation and how they were interacting, and then the third part was the end game. And for the record, best writer from that series is Kamen Rider Grease, in my opinion, but that's just me.
I mean,
bold.
Well, I won't. To be fair, of the writers of that series, I can agree with that statement.
Of build?
Yeah.
Kamen Rider Grease is the shit.
Until
I fucking love the fact that he's a fanboy, and he
hasn't seen Grease yet, so he doesn't really.
That's true.
know.
I just met Cross Dragon, so
yeah, you just met Cross, which you're gonna like that if you like him.
Because my feelings about build so far are like, I don't like Sento. I like boxer guy whose name I forget.
Banjo,
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because you're only in like the first part, 2 and 3 will expand upon both of those characters, and you may change your opinion about some of them.
I mean, I'm open to it.
That's the weird thing. It's like, yeah, like.
I feel the same about Meteor in like
Forza.
Because Meteor is like, oh, I hate this guy, and it's just like, oh wait, no, I don't hate him anymore.
Well, Meteor is just like, I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah.
But you could be my friend.
I think it's Ryusei? Or Ryuta? Or
Ryusei.
Ryusei's such a douche throughout the entirety. He's just wearing this bland uniform. Like, what makes you so...
Well, he was a transfer student.
Yeah, he was
and
a transfer
they eventually they go to the school that like where their transfer
They go to the
went
school,
to.
and it's just like, okay. And one of the things I love about that show is that it's the first... You would think that, like, Kamen Rider would have done multiple shows that take place in high school. No, that's the first one. And the only one.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, that's because most of the time it's like it wasn't really teenagers. It was more so like adults.
Some dudes like in their mid-early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the thing I like about Forza is like, not only is there a ship in it, and there's several ships in it. One of them is hinted at, and the other one just tears your fucking heart out.
Yeah.
Within the fucking movie.
Yeah.
You weren't a fan of it?
Well, I'm not saying like, I wasn't all that heartbroken over the whole Nade Shiko thing. I mean, like, yeah, it kind of sucked, but at the same time, it was just like, well, here's my feelings for a character that was introduced in this movie, and she comes back in another movie, but it's just like, she's also a movie character. So
you can't really have much on them besides the 2 hours you get to see them full.
And like
the same weight.
Any of these movies, so like the canonicity of most of them is weird.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, like, again, Forza is another one that was a multi-part thing, because you had it where like it was like the first starting out where like things everyone's like forming together to form the Forza club, the Kamen Rider Club, and then the second part is when the Cancer constellation, where he materializes into the Cancer form. That's where the series kind of took that next step, where it was just like, oh, these are like tougher villains. And then the third part was when the chairman of the school became Sagittarius and
went crazy.
Finally was just like, well, time to take over now.
Yeah.
So, like, but again, even then, was another solid one. Wizard, not so much, but I digress.
By the way, fuck Wizard.
Yeah, I said this before we created the podcast. The unfortunate thing for Wizard is that it legitimately has one of the best secondary writers in Kamen Rider. The unfortunate thing is that he's in Wizard.
I have yet to see the series.
Yeah,
But,
Never.
from the crossover I saw with Gaim, it didn't really look like it was too... Because I'm bad at sometimes just movie hopping when it comes to Kamen Rider crossovers. And I'll sometimes watch something that has one thing I know, but several other things I don't know. Yeah. So I can understand how Wizard not being too interesting comparative to most other series.
It is just one of the hardest. It's like I can't even put Wizard into words. That's how hard this is. I can't even put it into words. That's how I feel about it. Fuck it. Just get me away from it. I don't want to think about it anymore.
That's fine. No, I will say, but like, we've already mentioned how, you know, Kamen Rider can be dark. It's always just kind of just fucked with me how, like, you'll have some series where it's just like, oh, this is fine, and then all of a sudden it's just like, well, that took a dark turn.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big one being Gaim.
I mean, and that one was definitely the one where it's like, it took a minute before you saw the dark turn.
Yeah.
Or like, it transitioned so smoothly that at the end you're like, wait, there's different proportions than what was at the beginning. This was about playing a game in the street and dancing in certain places. Now we have
Turf wars.
Yeah, lightly sounding turf wars and not even fighting to God, basically.
Yeah. Like, or in Forza fucking, like, we talked about Meteor like moments ago, that he straight up betrays and nearly kills him in the middle of the thing. You're just like, whoa, what the fuck? And like, it just takes a dark turn out of nowhere, where it went from being, you're just a thorn in my side, to like, no, I'm fucking killing you.
Yeah.
Oh, X-Aid is another one that was just like, well, this is such a really surprising dark turn all of a sudden. And it's like, it's video games and doctors. Yay!
By the way, here's a virus that can literally kill you.
Fuck.
Also, here's this virus that is a part of you.
Oh.
By the way, if you kill him, you can't use your powers.
Oh.
By the way, here's someone even stronger now that can stop time.
Oh.
Good luck.
Or like,
by the way,
Also, here's a game designer with a god complex. Even better.
oh my god, Dan Kuroto is one of the best characters in Kamen Rider history.
Not gonna lie, on VR chat, there is a Kamen Rider section on VR chat, so you can have Kamen Rider avatars.
Beautiful.
However, a lot of them are from the game, so they're more of that stylized, colored, popped version. There is, though, some people who have taken the time to create actual skins that let you henshin and transform into the Kamen Riders, depending on like how you're touching the touchpad and everything. And there is one for Dangerous Zombie, and I use it, but I'm kind of sad because it's very touchy at times, and it's the only one that will work for me, but I can't change the base character I'm at. It's the same person, it's just a skin over it. And the only other ones that there are for Kamen Riders are anime girls. And they're
beautiful.
Chibi anime girls.
Not so beautiful.
And they don't even like wear the costume proper. It's like a sexualized version of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Random skidding in the background.
If you heard that, that is the conversation skidding to a halt.
yeah, like, I was thinking about Drive when that happened, because Drive starts out, like, you don't think that Drive's going to get darker, and it just does.
But it starts out dark, though, at the same time.
It starts out with a very dark time.
Yeah.
It's just that Shinosuke just doesn't really seem... Shinosuke, as you first meet him, is not really thinking too much about that, because he's trying to get past the fact that, he wasn't there to help his partner.
The thing I know that about Drive's premise is that it's almost the same. It mirrors that of, like, what we would get, like, with Lupin Ranger and Patch Ranger later on, because kind of the same thing happens. Not, like, with the global freeze, but, like, the freezing aspect and, like, not being there to save a loved one for that.
Fair enough.
I guess, because, just in a sense of, like, people hurt from a similar world-changing event, I guess.
And, like, one of the things that, like, I've liked about Kamen Rider so far is, like, each one is so different.
Oh, yeah.
And so... Mm-hmm. And if you talk about Super Sentai going far out there with concepts, Kamen Rider does it even more.
Oh, hands down.
Oh, of course.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Super Sentai goes out on a limb more so with, like, the goofy, like, comedy elements and, like, some wacky characters with it. But, like, yeah, Kamen Rider does just really hard turn into stuff a lot.
Which I hate, because I look back at Kamen Rider Ghost as probably one of my favorite Rider suits. Because it's just, like, this really cool guy with an awesome, sick sword. It's probably one of my favorite Kamen Rider swords of all time. He's got, like, a hoodie suit going on.
His parka.
And, like, all of a sudden, like, he's getting, like, okay, we're getting Musashi. Okay, we're getting Edison.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What? Edison? Where did he come from?
Okay, so I disagree with that.
I mean, like, Edison, Newton.
That was an interesting... Like, Ghost was okay. It wasn't great. And I've said this before the podcast, where, like, Ghost, I think, didn't know how to end it. Like, that was one of the ones where, yes, it was multi-parted, but, like, the final part didn't know how it wanted to land the ending.
It was multi-parted, but the parts didn't flow as they probably should have.
But I really did like the transformation element for Ghost. And I will also say, in terms of the Heisei era going into the Reiwa era, that was always something that was kind of, to me, what differentiated Kamen Rider and Super Sentai as well, was that the transformation stuff and the toys that were associated with Kamen Rider were cooler than Super Sentai.
Yeah. Like,
that's always been one of, like, the big things of Kamen Rider is, like, ooh, what's the new Rider's gimmick going to be? And... Because it's been weird, but, like, it works.
And that's just because with Super Sentai, you get one gimmick that all 5 use. Mm-hmm. Like, for Kira Major, all of them use the same morpher, and it's just a wheel. Yep. Whereas, like, Build, you get 2 bottles that make one thing, and then you can have endless combinations from that.
Yep. Or with Saber, where you have a belt, you put books in the belt, open the books, and then pull a sword.
You don't even open the books. You pull out the sword, and the sword opens the books.
Yes.
And that's going to be interesting, because we get to have up to 3 books.
What's your guys' favorite henshin?
Favorite henshin?
Oh, God.
You knew somebody was going to have to eventually ask, or one, or a couple of your favorite.
I know. So, oh my gosh. Just trying to think. All of a sudden,
I really, like, I don't really know, like, how to quantify my list, but Agito's, I really like his. Just because it's just, like, it's not just him, like, just doing something quick, but it's, like, him, like, slowly, like, kind of concentrating into the transformation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obviously in the same way Kuga does his, because, it's all about, like, this, like, the breathing out and then just henshining. But for, like, the latter ones, I guess, I mean, Gaim obviously one of them, just because it's so silly. Just
locks are really cool.
Lock on slice with a sword, and
Banana.
giant fruits
Banana.
zip out from a different dimension and drop on the head. Like,
I love how he acts to them too, because he's just like,
yeah, first time transformation, stuck with an orange on his head, running around going, what the heck? Obviously, you gotta laugh about that.
Baron had the best first one though, where
Oh, but
everyone literally in the
whole-
crowd is just like banana, banana.
But his whole jingle was just like, oh,
Yes,
so
the
nice.
kingly,
and
regal-
everything. Oh,
Yes.
so good.
and I know I'm biased, but like, I really like Forza's because Forza is just like,
Oh yeah, 3.
because when he does it, 3,
It's the camera angles
it's
for
the
me
camera's
that
just like,
gets you.
because like each camera is different because it just goes like 3, 2, 1, henshin, and then like the girl's always nearby to like scream out Uchu star, which is blast off in Japanese,
Right.
And like
Uchiyo-kita.
what?
Uchiyo-kita.
Ucho kita. But
Uchiyo-kita! Just fling the arms.
I just
up into the air.
love whenever he does that because like that's like if I'm ever sleepy during an episode, I just go, I'll hear 3, 2, 1. My eyes will shoot open.
Yeah. It is definitely just one of the more interesting ones.
It always fires me up for like the rest of it.
As far as like ones that like the sounds I just like really like hearing, anything Decade wise.
Yeah.
Decade.
DK.
Just
Kamen Rider.
just him opening that and then throwing in the card and then just the sounds from it up to like whatever.
And who doesn't like a card going Henshin.
Yeah.
I will admit, I am definitely a fan of Build with his transformation. Like the fact that like he literally like has like plastic mold things forming around him and then like smashing together as he's just cranking the wheel on his belt with like the bottles like moving up and down with the gears. I always thought that was kind of clever. Frickin' Drive, where he's just like, drive, type, speed, and then like all of a sudden like a wheel pops out of his car and just launches into his chest and attaches to his body.
I think
when he was type technique though, it was the
Let's put a wheel around your neck.
Yep.
Bitch. As much as I do love Drive, it was one of those things where it's just like, all right, we're starting to reach with some of these other ones.
Well, I mean, it was all gimmicks, but I mean, Mach and Chaser both very good,
super clean. Other than that,
I'm trying to refresh my Henshins right now because I'm like I couldn't remember if I liked Blades or not, and I'm like,
I mean, best jingles, O's.
Oh yeah.
O's is best.
Every full combo had its own theme song.
Exactly.
And there's like an O's combo change medley that is one of my favorite musical things on my iPod from Kamen Rider. That's just a medley of them, which both Super Sentai and Kamen Rider have their insert songs that are great. I just think Kamen Rider has better insert songs. Some of them have been amazing. Like in Gaim, the Ranbu escalation between Gaim and Baron. Like, have you ever seen the music video for that?
I've not.
So it's literally like you've got Baron in front of like a black screen and Gaim in front of a white screen and just like singing back and forth, and it's that just the duality between the two characters. Great. With Drive, they had Drive, Mach, and Chaser all singing a song together, which was great. But yes, O's was fantastic because every like Full Metal combo had its own theme song.
I'm looking up O's engine. I'm gonna remember it.
Which I will also say, in terms of opening theme songs, yes, I do love Gaim's very
O's
much.
is definitely up there though.
The ska.
So good.
I am a slut for ska. I am not afraid to admit that. Which is also why I do appreciate Kamen Rider Saber's opening very much. Like, I have played it way too many times, and it's just stuck in my head. But it's so good. Just fantastic. I do love Drive's opening as well. That one is sung by Kamen Rider Eternal from W. He is a fantastic singer. I also really love Den-O's opening, whether it's sung by AAA or the Imagines. Both songs are very good. Yeah. I have so much of a love for them. I also love the fact that Kamen Rider Chips at one point had an album out covering every single Kamen Rider opening from the original.
Didn't we watch that going? Listen to that going somewhere? Because when Chips came out, because I remember like you showed me that.
I just remember listening to it on Spotify. I don't know if there was too much else than that.
No, that was my friend Courtney. She was like, "Hey, oh yeah, Chips came out with this." I'm like, "Wait, really?" I'm like, "Ooh, this is great."
Yeah, they're always fantastic. X-Aid's opening was a chart topper for the longest time.
Wasn't it like 4 at the charts for like a long period of time?
Yes, it was just constantly up there. People loved it.
It was a really upbeat song as it was.
He's also a great singer, and he got to sing the theme song for Dragon Ball Super Broly, which is also a banger. Like Build had a fantastic opening.
Build has an underrated opening.
Yes. Yeah. I also appreciate the fact that Build has had more female sang openings than Super Sentai has.
I think that's one of the reasons why I liked it and like Kamen Rider a little bit better times, because like there's more female frontages. I'm like, guys, use them. They're amazing singers.
01 also has an amazing opening theme song.
It dropped on like didn't like that drop the fastest out of any Kamen Rider so like they came out, because I remember like not even like a week after like it aired, they dropped the opening online for everybody.
It did come out really fast. I don't know
because normally they take forever. Because they take forever, and I remember just like, Zeo's opening's out in full already. It's been like a week.
Kira Major was like that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Because that was with the quarantine drop. They dropped all of the Super Sentai stuff on Spotify, including the full versions of
Kira Major's
opening and ending. I know. It's so, but yeah, Kamen Rider music is just great. And again, as another one where you can watch all of the openings on YouTube, and you should if you haven't already.
Or you could do what I do, like everyone to the balloon, and watch all the henshins.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that too.
Because that's the other thing, is that like, so compared to Super Sentai, where more often than not they have like a cutaway where they have like the transformation and everybody transforms. With Kamen Rider, it is almost always, except for the case of Saber right now, where like they're like transforming in real time.
Yeah.
And it is fucking awesome.
I mean, I guess you could say Saber is transforming in real time. It's just the podium is just like a certain like because they're in a magical book world, you can kind of get around it that way.
We have a question though, because we haven't talked about the elevator room, and I don't think we've actually gone over this with each other, at least between me and you guys. What did we think of Dragon Knight when it came over?
It was alright.
I didn't watch it.
I
watched 2 episodes and thought it was stupid.
I mean, like, I appreciate the fact that they were giving it a go.
They tried.
It didn't have...
I mean, I tried to like it when it was on television over here, and I just remember just, like, trying so bad. I'm like, I want this to work so they'll bring more over here.
But, again, it's that whole... I don't know, like, cleaning it up for America. And it's like... For these shows especially for Kamen Rider, you can't really change too much of the source material unless you just want to make something entirely different.
I think the issue was they picked a very hard series to adapt.
It's
as
Ryuki.
Their first one.
Yeah, Ryuki.
Right.
Also very
They have a huge cast.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that if you have like weak actors playing a large cast, that's very difficult.
This is doing the Rider World before Decade did it. Because mind you, I'm just now revealing to you guys I have not seen Ryuki yet.
I've only seen like a couple episodes.
Mirror World.
Yeah, it's not too crazy. It's just fight to the last rider kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is weird, because that would be something that would make me go, that sounds dope.
It's just that it's very other story driven though, not just fighting.
Yeah.
A lot of character development and stuff like that.
Well, that's what usually
And they even
Yep.
did a nice little series of that after ZO. They did a nice little separate couple episodes, 2 episodes, 3 episodes, I think,
Sounds about right.
of just kind of like where are they now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is another thing that I've appreciated for both Kamen Rider and Super Sentai is that they do further adaptations of things either after the main series ends, like right away, or they do it down the line. Like they've had several Super Sentai 10 years later things that have been very solid.
Yeah, like, I think, like, the thing I like about the generation to come right over the last 10 years, all those people are receptive to coming back for anything.
Like, especially, like, Kamen Riders in the Showa era.
Yeah.
With how many times they've come back, the original
They've done the
actors
big
too.
crossover Kamen Rider stuff. They've done, like, minute stuff where it's like, oh, well, just a crossover with one guy over here and there. Like, I'm really glad that Tsukasa for Decade came back for Zio and almost, like,
He had to finish his business from Decade because he didn't get a full series.
Yeah.
It's just
And
like,
it was very interesting to see that dynamic of these are the two
crossover riders
How
in
do
the
they
same
interact?
series.
Yeah.
What would happen? It's just like, that's what I'm excited to see when I'm caught up finally.
I'm going to say this, and this might be a controversial opinion. I don't know because I haven't seen enough talk of this on the internet. Zio did better homage to previous writers than Decade.
Oh no, that's
For
true.
sure.
That's true.
That's
true. And that's
without a
something
doubt.
like,
Because
even like a lover of Decade as I am, I know it's true.
Because Zio was like, I want to be a kind king. And a kind king, in fact, an episode is about that. He's just like, I want to be a good person to everyone.
Well, I'm not even just saying that. Like,
Or just how they paid homage to everyone.
The difference between Decade and Zio is that with Decade, they essentially did alternate versions of the Kamen Riders that we know because for whatever reason they couldn't get the previous Kamen Rider actors for those respective series to reprise their roles as the characters. Like, for example, one of the biggest things that bugged me about Decade is despite the fact that they were able to get Kamen Rider Kiva himself to be a narrator of sorts in the very first episode and appear later on, they casted a little child to be Kamen Rider Kiva for the Decade universe thing. It was so weird. And in comparison with Zio, on top of the fact that they were able to get certain Kamen Rider actors to come back, they were adapting not only their original timelines, but also where they were in 2019 slash 2020.
Like, it actually was like they're in the same timeline because I believe what it was is that in some ways you could because in Build they actually do combine some of the worlds, wasn't it? Or because I know Decade was one of those things where, like, if you want the better ending, he did bring all the worlds together kind of thing.
By destroying them, he was able to make their memory live on forever, and because of that, they were able to continue existing.
And it was... Well, that's right. Actually, I'm wrong here, because Zio was more so of actually kind of tweaking time to force all these other worlds into the same area. Kind of a little bit of like the opposite of Decade, where it's like not so much the memory, but literally the worlds themselves pouring into the same timeline.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing. I remember that they did a whole episode about, like, with Kamen Rider Blades, like, people and everything, and then also with Kabuto's people. They're like, hey, where's the big spire? Like, this was supposed to be here. Where did it go?
Yep.
Yeah.
But then again, like, there was also the point where it's like they had the weird thing of like, oh, when you have the Ride Watch, they forget they have their powers, but some of them didn't, and that's one thing with Zio that I was very wondering on because they were kind of very wishy-washy about how the clocks work, but they did kind of explain it later on.
Yeah.
But it was still like a little weird to try and take out.
Yeah, they were like, all right, we're going to pick and choose when you guys remember certain aspects of who you actually were.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm overall excited to finally get caught up on, like, at least the Heisei era writers in full. Like, and just because it's like the last 10 years and it's a little bit more modern, it's been like, hey, that's my timeline. I'm probably gonna stick to the ones from Decade upwards. Like, I'm never gonna watch Wizard again. I never will do that to myself. But I'm excited for O's.
O's
for more of O's.
O's is very
I'm excited for.
I mean, obviously, as someone who has the complete selection modification O's driver,
O's, I'm
and now has the premium Bandai Ankh arm, courtesy of Garrett here.
From Tashimi Labs.
Yeah, I hate O's. No, I'm kidding. I love O's so much. It's so good. I will say this. I am very hopeful for the Reiwa period, but that optimism right now, based on the current state of the world, for reasons I can't say in case I'm ever monetized and don't want to be demonetized, things are changing with production.
Yeah.
01 was a fantastic start to the Reiwa period. And a lot of people were very hesitant. There were some people that were like, what's this with this black and lime green writer, which some people liked, some people didn't. But the story and the characters turned out to be so good. Mm-hmm. Like, really, really good. And it goes dark. And it's just like, oh. And like, toward the ending, it's just like, oh.
Which I'm very sad that the ending kind of got chopped as it did.
Yes,
but thankfully the movies will be there to hopefully alleviate some of that.
Now, that being said, the creators have said that that final episode of 01 is an ending.
Yes.
So, like, yes, this movie will be like an addendum ending. But it still had an ending. Yes, compared to Decade, where it was just like, well, we're going to kick your ass, Decade. Oh. The end.
Yeah.
Please watch the movie. Well, okay, fine.
Yeah. Because of the circumstance, they kind of had to cut it where it was. But it still was an ending, just not the one people probably wanted, because there is, that final villain that no one really knows about, that just kind of cropped up out of nowhere.
There's a lot of speculation about how certain characters might have been different.
Right.
Given the situation, like, things had to change, where there was, like, a month break in between, like, episodes and production and whatnot. A month and a half. I can't remember exactly how long. And that's what I want to say with Kamen Rider Saber, is that there is, for anyone that has watched it so far, there's a very clear difference. And that clear difference being that, while yes, there are still some human interactions and real-world stuff, they're going heavy in with the CGI and green screens right now, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something where it's just like, all right, given the current situation, it looks like they're using this as a means to continue with production while not having to risk as much exposure and whatnot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, the big thing is, in contrast to Super Sentai, because there are fewer actors involved with Kamen Rider, although not for long. Apparently there's going to be like 13 of these writers in...
Again?
Yeah, they're going for kind of like a Ryuki kind of thing
I'm excited to watch Ryuki as is, but it's just like, again.
Yeah, no, that's how it is.
It's a new thing,
They love doing writer versus writer things a lot. It's popular and it sells merchandise. Yep. But that being said, like, from what I've seen so far, it's all right. Like, it's cool. It's obviously... Like, it's very CGI reliant, but given the situation, it makes sense so that they can keep going.
I was going to say, weren't we talking about how it's an homage to, how the suit was an homage to Wizard and something else?
It reads very Wizard and Ryuki.
If you look at it, if you want to like nitpick the entire writer and like try to compare it to everyone else, yes, you can say it was very much.
And I'm not saying that in a bad way, because
no. Yeah. Like, you can compare it with, it has aspects of Ryuki, it has aspects of Wizard, it's got aspects of, you could say build and or double, because of just the way that, you have more than one item that changes a part of the person. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's the 3 slots, so there's obviously going to be a third thing, so you can have like 3 different parts of books to one writer, and that'll be interesting when we come to that. And it could be, it might be something where it's like Zeo Trio, and like 3 parts all together, or it could just be more of like a Final Form double, where it's like just kind of that split down the middle.
I will never get over the fact that they gave Zeo the Deno treatment with that trio form.
Oh yeah, it was
hilarious, but it was just like,
thing.
Well,
What does turn you into like parts of me?
3 guys in 1. Yes.
Why not?
I mean, it was very much like they kind of just put a bunch in there that was like all related to all these different shows, so it's not really too far-fetched from them to do that.
Yep. Now that being said,
for God's sakes, there was a dude that literally was a Kamen Rider from space, and then they just take his power.
Space.
Well, that's the thing.
Sorry for anyone that had their eardrums go out there. Not to mention the frickin' quiz Kamen Rider, who was, funny enough, Red Go Buster.
Yep.
Go figure. Not to mention, well, and then like a frickin' Hamburger Ninja from Ninja was the Ninja Kamen Rider,
which was very nice, and he got his own little mini series. Though I'm really sad that the robot dude did not get more on his time. Because I would have liked a nice little series about him.
He was all right.
I mean, he wasn't that big of a character, because if you think about it, he's very much reminiscent of like the old show-off where it's like a cyborg Kamen Rider.
At the same time, when you think about it, it was kind of alluding to Zero One.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the robot.
And also a little bit Bioman.
True.
Very much like that.
As a Bioman, you have the Robo Knight who replaced somebody in Super Sentai. I can't remember who. Oh, he is the Robo Knight or the Robo Dude from Go-Go 5 because Titanium Ranger didn't exist.
Right.
Remember, there's a Super Sentai out there that had like a Robo person instead of having the Titanium Ranger or Ranger that didn't exist.
Well, I mean, and don't forget like Car Ranger / Turbo had Patrolman.
Oh, that's right.
I can't remember if he was. I know he was like a robot in.
He was just a robot.
Power Rangers.
Well, they counted him.
They
counted him as a 6 when
he's an extra.
when Guy did his thing.
He's an extra.
Yeah,
not a 6. He's an extra.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see though. Like, obviously they're going to continue what they're doing with Kira Major now.
Yeah.
But if things continue, I'm curious to see if production will change for the next Super Sentai.
It's gonna have to, and I think they're gonna want to do the best that they can because once again, we're in an anniversary year next year.
So they're probably gonna go as best as they can go.
They have to.
Yeah.
Well,
just no more freaking dinos for the time being.
Yeah.
We'll always come back around to it, but just not again.
Yeah.
Well,
we've already had 4. We don't need a 5th right now. We really don't. Alright, so that being said, any last thoughts, you guys, on either Kamen Rider or Super Sentai?
I do not have anything else.
I mean, the thing I would like to say is I'd like to revisit a concept that's already been done. Just not the same, obviously not the same storytelling, but like a concept. Like, I would say go space again. Like, go try to do something with space with Super Sentai. You've barely done that.
They did a good chunk of that.
Well, that was within an alternate universe. I'm talking like with like maybe exploration rather than just like trying to save the universe and that type of thing.
That's fair.
I guess.
I guess I don't know
what they want to do again.
I don't know that they want to be as ambitious with space again anytime soon.
And I don't know if they'd really need a storytelling of in space too much.
Well, they can do whatever they want and it'll work.
I'm just saying though, because like Power Rangers has at least kind of crafted a somewhat of a timeline with everything.
Yeah.
Super Sentai has the timeline too, but it's a little bit. They could be a little bit more
wobbly, timey-wimey.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more Doctor Who kind of thing to it.
Like Gokaiger was able to line things up well enough while like exhibiting which ones were alternate realities and whatnot. But yeah. I
don't know. Just want to see something different that I haven't seen yet. Maybe
even
go-
though you just said let's revisit something and
Right,
do it different.
Well, after you guys both mildly talked me out of it.
Only the space part of it. Like,
Yeah.
Let me have my space fantasies, you two. Let me have it.
Well, go watch Star Trek.
Oh, I've already seen Star Trek.
And go watch Next Generation.
Seen Next Generation.
And go watch Doctor Who.
I'm good.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, if you haven't watched Super Sentai or Kamen Rider already, by all means, and especially if you're a fan of anime, if you're a fan of action, if you're a fan of some like kid friendly but at the same time dark storylines, give them a try.
Yeah.
If you liked Power Rangers, definitely give Super Sentai a try. Definitely Kamen Rider if you can. At least on the Super Sentai side of things, you can watch them, or a good chunk of them, through Verve. You can get them through Shout Factory with Kuga. That's also through Shout Factory and Verve, as well as Kamen Rider, the original Kamen Rider Ichigo. There are other means to watch, which we won't give you specifics.
Yeah.
'Cause there's,
You can find it on your own.
You can find it on your own.
Use Google.
Yeah.
You can find
Use
it.
Google. You'll do your best.
Or hey, maybe it's
I
on
think a good
YouTube.
question like to ask us is like, if you had to suggest a Kamen Rider that we've already seen and a Super Sentai that we've already seen, which one would you suggest to people?
To watch first.
Yeah, to watch first.
For Kamen Rider, I guess I would say to start with Kuga, because it is very
It starts
good.
out everything of the modern era.
I mean,
I would say start with Double. Only because Double is still going to have, Double is still going to be modern enough where it's just like, all right,
that's the only
there's not enough disparity.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I am a huge fan of the cinematography from Kuga through Blade. Or, sorry, Fize. No, Blade. Blade came after Fize.
So Fize's cinematic stuff is just different.
Fize was the fourth Heisei Kamen Rider, despite being five base.
Yeah.
Blade was the fifth one. But they all had a style of cinematography that was more like the live action. You could physically see all the movements and it wasn't smoothed over it is
more like your
modern stuff.
your daily dramas of the now time instead of kind of
Janky.
how would I say it, like the comedy video TV shows that you'd watch.
You could tell they're live person stuff.
Yeah.
As weird as it's weird to describe it.
No, yeah,
but
it's okay. To me, it felt like it's daytime soap opera sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
That's the way to describe it.
That's how Fize felt. To me.
That's the type of cinematography it has. But it's good.
It's very good.
But for some people that might be a little bit jarring. So that's why I say Double is the one of the best ways to start it, because you don't have to worry about any previous Kamen Rider stuff like you would with Decade. And you don't have to worry about cinematography stuff or some of the early stuff. Double is a good way to get into it and start, or even 0-1. 0-1.
I'd say 0-1 is probably
just any of this different. I guess the different eras, if you want to say, are really good. I prefer obviously the Heisei. You are saying the Neo Heisei or the.
I will say though, if you want to do Heisei, then Kuga is obviously the way to start.
Yeah.
Because that restarted everyone.
Yeah.
On the Super Sentai side of things, you could start with Gokaiger if you want to get the bad taste of Super Mega Force out of your mouth. Because it was my first, I would recommend Shinkenger, just because it was samurai and it was done well in Japan.
And if I guess I would suggest, if you want that real the nostalgia of dinosaur fighting type, original Mighty Morphin, then watch Ryu Soldier. Goodness, I'm having trouble. Watch that one because like I said at the beginning of this, it has a very strong comparison to the original Mighty Morphin, and the idea is of tribes and dinosaurs and all that.
I also really like the suits in Ryu Soldier too.
Yes.
It's one of my favorites, but if you wanted my suggestion, I'd go with Gokaiger, because you'll have that foot in the Power Ranger side of things, and when you suggested that initially, that was how I was able to go, oh, I know what that is. And and then everything that's come after that has been pretty good. I could say so you could skip if you want to watch. You can watch Beast Morphers and watch
Go Busters.
Go Busters at the same time if you really wanted to, and then just go up from there. But like I'd go with Go Kaiju, and then for Kamen Rider, if you want stupid anime bullshit in your fucking Kamen Rider, watch Forza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want stupid anime bullshit, watch Forza. It's got all the anime tropes inside that damn anime.
And if you want to get fucked up, watch Guy.
God,
Yep.
Just go in right away.
balls deep and watch Guy.
Gaim.
That is for
But yeah,
dang
stupid anime bullshit. Watch Forza. If you want to get fucked, go watch Gaim and then hate on us later.
All right. Well, in closing, once again, I want to thank you guys for being part of these podcasts.
Of course.
I want to thank you both for being on my podcast as well.
Yep. Once again, if you guys want to tell people how they can see your stuff and whatnot, Darian.
All right, so I have two Instagrams. I have the Nerds Rant Live on Instagram page, which we will be announcing stuff on there relatively soon. It's a relatively new page, but we need followers and we'd like to do stuff on there. So if you want the official stuff and you want to send ideas, you can send it out there. We also have an email that I'm going to bring up here now for if you want suggestions for shows. My co-host has done all of this. I've done nothing.
I kind of figured, but I didn't want to say. So you said it for me.
I said it for you. Give me a minute here. Yeah, our Gmail is nerdsrantlive@gmail.com. Send us emails to that. Right, that's a business email, and we can take suggestions for that.
You'll put the link in the description.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And then we have, and then of course my Instagram, which is basically memes, which is JackArcher02 on Instagram, and then on YouTube is the Every Nerd.
And then just for me, I'm terraxgt on every platform because surprisingly I was able to get that.
I know. I'm thankful that I get to be Axel Blaze on everything, or Axel Blaze Productions, or in the few random cases where I'm Axel Blaze _PAC. So it's just
That one's my favorite.
Axel Blaze Productions and Cosplay. It's like, oh, have I already used Axel Blaze on this platform? Yeah. Have I already used Axel Blaze Productions on this platform?
Yeah.
All right. I'm starting fresh again, so let's use the third one.
Low-key, I'm really happy that on my PS4 that I get to be Jack Archer on my PS4 and nobody else has it.
That's shocking to me.
I was the first person to get it on the PSN network. Fuck all of you.
But otherwise, stay tuned for more content on this platform. I'm going to be uploading, if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, it's already on YouTube. Otherwise, like I said, I'm going to try to put it on different podcasting platforms. I'm using Anchor because Darian got me into it. So I'm going to try and get this out onto Spotify and whatnot. So if there's a bit of a delay, I apologize for that. But like I said, that's what I'm working on. What are you laughing about?
Nothing important.
Okay. All right, then. I don't believe you, but okay.
It's Final Fantasy 14 stuff that something just came up on my phone.
Of course. Anyway, so thank you guys. I apologize for being gone as long as I have. I promise.
Welcome back, Jordan.
I promise I was doing stuff. It's just that people were making videos while I was still researching stuff. So I was just like, this person did it better. But you'll get content.
Don't do that to yourself.
I know I shouldn't do that to myself, but I will be. This is going to be the first episode up on Spotify. My Shonen Jump episode is going to be coming up next, so stay tuned for that if it's not already out. Otherwise, for now, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Axel Blaze, and like I said, if you're not a fan of Pyramidas in the other podcast, then you're wrong. So long.
Bye.
Bye-bye.